Love and forgiveness is our superpower. We have the ability to radiate love and forgiveness towards those who would or are betraying us, and it can be difficult if you take betrayal personally, and come on, who doesn't? Or if you believe that there really are others outside of some reflection of you. In other words, do you think there are other people actually existing, or is everyone just in some kind of weird dream that's in your 3-pound universe? It's kind of helpful to look at it like that, and not to discount other people's personhood, of course. If you land into the realm of egos and law of the jungle, eye for an eye type of thinking, it can be hard to forgive and radiate love towards one who has rooted itself against you. And there are levels to betrayal, obviously, which can extend into the taking of a life or other forms of violence, both emotional and physical, that make this magic trick of transformation of a situation through forgiveness and love much more difficult to pull off for some than others. However, even in extreme cases, it's possible, and even in extreme cases, or maybe even especially in extreme cases, it's necessary. There is no world where walking around full of resentment makes things better, and anger and rage towards someone or towards a situation only feel like they are in some way protecting you, when in actual fact, they are the actual damaging agent of whatever form of betrayal you happen to be facing. Betrayal itself works like a bonding agency, a soul glue, you could call it. It puts the object of betrayal, or the one who betrayed you, in the front row of your psyche, and then demands your obsession, your focus, your potential, your energy, your time. It drains you like a nefarious actor that got all your information and has stolen your identity. Your anger and rage serve nothing but to grant him permission to access your soul over and over again and drain you. Or if we can look at it like a video game, or a game, I guess, which is helpful because in a game, it's less personal automatically. After all, it's just a game, and in the game of betrayal, the prize and the bounty is one's attention. So far from your anger, rage, and obsession protecting you as a reaction to betrayal, they actually only serve to hand over the keys of your soul to another. And this also serves to make your shift to radiating love and forgiveness not too hyper-religious or some kind of angelic pose, but rather a pragmatic gameplay. We got to look at forgiveness like a game. We have to gamify forgiveness. Okay, so this is helpful in cultivating behavior like this, which is at first glance might not be too easy, natural, or particularly in the fresh pain of betrayal. It's not that easy to gamify forgiveness or to depersonalize it. Another reason why gamifying all this and removing as best we can emotions from the equation is to depersonalize it, to make it less heated, less obsessive. The Ho'oponopono mantra, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, is a great go-to forgiveness hack. It overrides our limited beings. It hacks our emotions in a positive way. It elevates our souls. We bring egos to the party, dragging and kicking. The ego would much prefer to rage and revenge fantasy its way out of every situation, or its way into every situation, and will even manage to slip through those cracks when you attempt to practice forgiveness. It'll insert a little rage revenge fantasy, won't it? It just will. It will, and you'll have to say, no, stop that. But that, though, can act as an alarm bell. Your mind has gone off the rails and is attempting to indulge in something you could never really indulge in. Because what forgiveness shows us is that when we can actually affect the heart of another through the power of the space we hold for them inside of us. It's magical, really. Our thoughts and feelings transmit and thus have the power to transform a relationship. Depending on where you are on your understanding of things, this will be obvious to some and less so to others. Before I discovered the Ho'oponopono, this might have been something I understood as an abstract concept or a kind of hippie notion that we aim for in some far out ideal, man. I can affect someone else just through the thoughts in my head. Yes, you can. It's not that far out. But I don't think the actuality of it really ever occurred to me, and certainly was nothing I had witnessed before. But I have seen this work over and over again in my own life. Relationships that were beyond contentious, which I worked diligently on applying this gamified forgiveness on, or ho'oponopono. I don't mean to disparage it by calling it gamifying it, or, it's just to depersonalize it, to think of it as a game. Even all of life, it's kind of good to sort of drain the emotional weight out of it, because emotions don't really help, do they? So anyway, this gamified forgiveness, this ho'oponopono, in the relationships in my life, I would watch them transform over the course of a few months. It takes time, sometimes years, into peaceful and even loving relationships, often in ways where no dramatic resolution is even needed. There didn't need to be some kind of big coming together moment. It was just simple. They seem to just veer into peace when you practice this stuff enough. And it's not nefarious to think you've somehow cracked a secret code in the matrix, because you have. But that is pretty much what happens when you do this. Your reward is freed up time and attention that you can now deploy towards working on a vision, rather than some diabolical revenge fantasy, which will never play out anyways, hopefully, and make you think of yourself like a lunatic by having those kind of things going through your head. You don't want to be Satan's biatch, for instance, and that's what rage makes you. Really, it's not heroic. Okay, so this points to a deeper power we all have to transform the state of our world through the power of our minds and controlled and consistent attention. Once we apply this to betrayal, it's the greatest teacher of the power of attention, because betrayal demands attention and even obsession, and so it makes the practice of forgiveness or sustained attention necessary, and innately teaches us about perseverance, the obsessive nature of betrayal, and especially when aligned with dedication to observing our own thought life, becomes a kind of de facto boot camp for the power our perceptions wield. Our refusal to play into a victim narrative, our dedication to perceiving everything that happens in our field of consciousness, our own responsibility, and the results that arise from this a little while later. It's stunning. The ho'oponopono thing. It is stunning. It's a stunning revelation about our own ability to create the reality we live in. We don't get any points for being right, and nobody cares about the dramas in any of our lives. I know, it's hard to believe, but nobody cares. It's beyond fodder for gossip that takes us out of the drama in our own worlds, and only point blah 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 blah. The only points we get are peaceful relationships with those who are in our lives regardless, or minimal attention to the attention vampires left floundering on the periphery. We don't allow the indulgence of thinking negatively about others, not from some elevated space of moral superiority, but rather an understanding about attention and energy, and wanting our own existence to be as merciful and as graceful and full of positive emotions as our souls will allow. Player one, peace on earth. We gamify forgiveness, and we set ourselves free to break the matrix. Yes, so it's just about setting ourselves free and deploying our attention where we want it to be. If you notice, most toxic relationships, it seems that they're really angling, and not the people, but the demons within the people, operating in the people. They seem to be angling for your attention. It's if you've ever gotten into one of those arguments with somebody that just goes nowhere and just like keeps getting more and more emotional, and you start learning these dynamics, and you can see When someone in an argument is more motivated to keep the argument going than to resolve it, you can just tell. No peace can be found. I think that kind of energy is going on a lot in our world. And so Ho'oponopono absolutely helps strengthen you against that. And it's like a Jedi mind trick in that realm. And for the people that are sincere, that you have a sincere issue with, it's great for them too, because that leads you to being forgiving and just as your baseline, wanting to forgive everybody and wanting to be responsible for everything in your field of consciousness. It's just a pretty good way to go about life on all those levels, whether you're dealing with somebody who's toxic or you're dealing with someone who's genuine. There you go.